Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Added Time FPL, our weekly Fantasy Premier League football podcast. My name is Nate, this is Mike, and it's game week 22. Do you know what that means? It's 2 weeks away from our new Fantasy Premier League assistant manager chip. I'm excited. I want to know what it's going to do. Well, we'll tell you what it's going to do, but later. First, let's do a little bit of a catch-up. How did your game week go? I'll tell you how mine went. I'm pretty happy with my performance.
Yeah. What is it? Top 10, top 11k now.
Top 11,000, climbed quite high, got 89 points, so very happy. I'll talk about my results later in the video when we talk about my current plans for this week. On that, we need to discuss something because I'm as stubborn as anyone when it comes to holding Haaland, who blanked yet again.
Don't you think that'd be a cool movie name? Holding Haaland. Or the
Holding
title of the new
Haaland.
book, Holding Haaland.
It's like Saving Private Ryan, it's Holding Haaland.
Or maybe like the Titanic thing, and there's Haaland doing this and you're holding him on the ship there.
Not me, Phil Foden. Yeah, no, Haaland blank, Phil Foden scored 2 goals, so clearly I had the wrong City asset. But
City are still faltering because they still drew that game.
They still have issues, yeah.
There's this whole thing that came out this week. Pep's just gotten divorced. His family's moving back to Spain. It's come out that he's been in another sort of temper or mood, and he's lost connection with some of the key players or leaders in the team. So that's come out now. Might be one of the reasons for this massive, never before in Pep's career, like 12 a game run of poor form. So it just means we got to keep an eye on City. Yes, they could score, and holding Haaland right now, if you have him, will be like hot and cold and will pull you up at times. But it's not. I think City has a package deal until we see around 3 games where they're back to their best. I wouldn't counting my chickens there.
No, because they might never hatch. Speaking of which, I made a transfer to try and help Chelsea by getting rid of Colwell in the hopes that I solved the bad luck, but turns out it didn't. However, there was a defensive hero in that game, and in case we forgot how good he was, it was a bit of a debatable free kick goal, but nevertheless, Reece James comes back and gets us some points.
Typical Reece James, right? Comes in, will score a thunderbolt free kick goal. Then he'll play for 2 games, get injured, be out for the rest of the season. Yeah. So we expect it, but it also was good to see him back. And he used to be a must-have FPL option. I would say stay clear until we see form. And even then, I wouldn't trust his injury.
He's attempting 4.8 million currently, but I think it's a bait. I think we watch.
The moment you bring him in, he's back on a stretcher in hospital.
Pretty much, yeah.
Him and his sister.
Yeah, the Jameses need to do some sort of medical therapy.
You know who's in your team is actually making me throw up. It's Robinson. Ooh. It's Fulham and Robinson, because this guy you think you had him from game week?
So yeah, I haven't touched him since game week 1.
He is just insane. Was that 2 goal involvements?
2 assists. Yeah, he got 2 assists.
Yeah.
I
think if anybody's thinking about wildcarding now, that's an option. I don't think a good wildcard team looks beyond having Robinson in your back three.
I don't think you can't afford to go without Robinson, especially in the caliber of how he's playing.
I'm still looking at players like Iwobi also was on the score sheet. Jimenez did not get on the score sheet, which was a bit of a downside for me, but I still think he's worth looking at.
Could have scored that later. Yeah.
But Salah is blanking.
I am so glad I didn't captain him. Yeah. I'm so happy that the majority of people captained Salah this week, because that means I got to gain massive points. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we said it on the podcast, so if you didn't listen, you should probably listen and subscribe and like the channel, share with your friends, because we say good stuff. But nevertheless, Salah was not on our choices for captaincy. He was, but as a differential. We didn't think he was the best shout for this week. We thought Isak was, and we both captained Isak.
Yeah, and it was some poor form there from Salah over the
It really
while.
was.
Even though he's been scoring some points, Liverpool been playing a lot of matches. There's all this hype about his move, where he's going to sign the contract. I think it's just a perfect storm of it could go either way. Still a professional, still a person you want in your FPL team, but I'm starting to wonder if he's the best captain choice moving forward. Someone who's rivaling Liverpool and up there in the second spot is or third spot is Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I mean,
And Wood, this guy
uh,
is on another
yeah.
level.
I'm
He,
tempted to take him out or to take Haaland out for Wood after this Ipswich fixture, because Wood is just proving to be, he's just having a phenomenal season.
yeah, it would be a baller move to go from Haaland,
To
like
Wood.
the most expensive, to the budget pick at the beginning of the season that's turned into a consistent hero. Speaking of a hero, we had a little bit of a disagreement about this earlier, but Ahmed just scored a hat trick. Just scored a hat trick. Like
Literally,
just
like a
saw the
couple,
news.
like an hour or two ago. Yeah. And for some wild decision, a person in our group named Shamir decided to captain him.
Yeah, if you
I don't know
captain
why,
Ahmed,
but
brave. But you know what?
it paid off.
This world belongs to the brave, right? So well done
Definitely.
for that big captain.
Yeah.
I would give Ahmed the badge of best budget pick of the season. I think he's been the best budget pick of the season. I don't think if you have a better contender for a budget pick of the season.
Robinson. But other than that, no, not in the midfield.
No, I like him in the midfield
because it's Smith Rowe. It's like Rodgers is good, but Armand has just pulled away in points as well. So if we look at price per point, he's also cheaper. So yeah, I think you're right. I think he has become the budget pick of the season. And in fact, I think if United can find some consistency, he might be a good shout for your teams if you're planning to do a wildcard soon.
Yeah, well, you see, we're preparing you for that wildcard video. It's coming. It's coming, and we already have Robinson and Ahmed
Subscribe
on
for
that
notifications.
list. Now let's just talk just a minute or two about Newcastle, because we can't deny the impact they've had. A run of 6 games on the trot.
Yeah.
With wins.
Yeah.
Isak being our captain this week. How long can this form continue?
Depends on Europa.
Cup games and the Europa,
yeah. Cup games. I mean, they might be.
That's another type of games.
Look, it depends if they can carry this form through. We know when European football comes around, it becomes tricky to manage minutes. Isak does have a history of not necessarily staying fit when he's worked quite hard. So does he stay healthy? Does he stay fit? Does he stay consistent? It's something to monitor. Does that mean that you shouldn't move to him? I don't think so. I think you still move to him. He is at a price point where he's considered premium along with Haaland, but he's at 55% owned. So if you're wanting to stay with the pack, kind of got to move to him. Considering Haaland's 30% owned, he's now the most owned forward, so you should probably look to moving him into your team just to stay up with the pack.
Is he in our imaginary wildcard too?
No, because he should be in your team. But if you don't have him, then yes.
Yeah. So he's in the dream team wildcard, and I would say even the other two also considered. Hall, probably a definite.
Yeah.
He should be in your team with the assists and attacking threat that he has. And then there's Gordon, who Nate and I sort of disagree.
But I kind of thought about it and I back it, because if I have to think, okay, who do I want in my team for this wildcard draft? Gordon doesn't shine out to me as like, oh, must have Gordon. I'd rather have Isak and Hall. So, but I'd like Gordon, but I'd rather take Armand, maybe save money, have Masala, Palmer, Saka kind of a thing. So
yeah, and like you were saying earlier, if he's in the same bracket as Mbuemo, I almost feel like Mbuemo's the better player, even with worse fixtures. To have Mbuemo, to have that Brentford asset alongside the Newcastle. But we have to just give props to Isak for taking Nate up this week and saving me from another horrible, despicable, sad, and depressed game week, because we both were up there, green arrows all the way. But there's some big news coming up, Nate. We have double game weeks coming, a wild card that's active and ready to go, and an assistant manager chip. Are you excited?
I am, and 2 of those things are happening in the same week. So the double game week is confirmed for game week 24, and that's exactly when the assistant manager chip becomes available to use. For those of you wondering, while I have it open, the double game week teams, Liverpool are playing Bournemouth on the Saturday and then go away to Everton to play that Merseyside derby on the Wednesday. So they do have a bit of a rest between games, which is kind of useful if you're wondering about Salah captaincy choices. I probably would captain Salah that week just because of having two fixtures.
I think if it wasn't Everton, I might be hesitant. But because it's Everton,
you have to show up.
He has to start the Everton game. He has to start that game.
Definitely. And then Everton also obviously playing Liverpool on the Wednesday. They play in the Leicester City on the Saturday as well. So same time thing as Liverpool. They have a bit of a rest between games. All I'm going to say is that Merseyside derby is going to be fire. And I'm kind of glad it got postponed into a midweek fixture because it gives everyone time to recover. And yeah, it's just going to be a cracker of a game.
The sad part for me is I don't see any Everton player being potentially in my team for that double game week. Besides Pickford, maybe. That's about it.
Pickford's probably where it ends. Yeah, you're not wrong. Their form has been a bit shocking, and I don't want to talk to Everton because they sacked Sean Dyche, so I don't really care about them.
I would say the only other thing I would consider is maybe David Moyes for the assistant managership. But even then, with that Liverpool game, it doesn't seem like the best. However, he gets that bonus points for climbing up the ladder.
You know who should go into your assistant manager slot?
Who is it?
I said it.
The casino roulette. What's it? The slot machine.
Slot machine. I mean, he would be a strong contender because it's a double game week. I'm pretty sure 80 or 90% of people that listen or follow FPL content creators would probably look at putting Slot in the team because of that double game week fixture. He just has more points, more point ceiling than any other manager. So
yeah, like this is the plan I'm thinking. You use your wildcard to set up your team for the double game week. Okay, you got the assistant manager chip ready to go. Okay, you got to time it well though, because I don't know if you can use both at the same time. Don't think you can. So you got to set up your team, and then you get that assistant game week chip together. Now, you get Arnie Slot in for 24-26. Liverpool are playing 4 games. They're playing Bournemouth away, Everton away, Wolves at home, and Man City away. In that run of 3 game weeks, they have 4 games for your Arnie Slot manager slot to actually give you those points. No extra points for playing up the ladder because they're already at the top of the ladder, but you will be getting consistency out of Liverpool, and I think that might be a lot of managers might go with that.
Yeah, it is the safest and most statistically consistent. That was a lot of S's. Pick out of all the managers.
A lot of S's.
We'll go through and make a little bit of a list and talk more about who we think would be the best picks, but that'll be after our wildcard video, which will be happening very soon. On that, some of you might be wondering, what the hell is an assistant manager chip? And if you don't know yet, well, basically, in game week 24, you activate it. Once active, it stays active for 3 consecutive weeks. So you'll have 3 weeks from whenever you activate it. So don't do it in the last 2 weeks of the season because you'll miss a week. Once active, you get a free transfer to bring in any manager of your choice. Afterwards, it will cost a banked transfer or a free transfer that you already have to move him on, or -4 depending, which means if you have 1 free transfer and you want to change your manager and maybe a forward, you'd end up taking -4. So just keep that in mind.
Good opportunity to build up some transfers over the next couple of game weeks.
Which is what I was thinking. Exactly. What I was thinking to you would be a nice strategy would be to wildcard, set your team up for 2-3 weeks, bank a transfer and move around managers. Maybe you slot for game week 24 and then change to someone else for game week 25. You could also do that.
We might have to look at some good game week managers, assistant managers from game week 25 onwards.
Yeah.
Now, Nate, we all want to know what you're doing with your team because you're leading the pack here. What's going on this week?
No lambs were sacrificed, I promise. It's been all clean, good, knowledgeable, estimated guesses, I suppose. I just think I had one of those game weeks where everything clicked for me.
The Midas touch. Everything turned to gold.
Literally was that. I said last week, I'm considering moving Isak, captaining Isak, which I did. I was saying I was considering moving out Diaz for Gordon, which I did that same game week. And by the way, Diaz got a yellow card in blank, so great move. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try and help Chelsea. Moved out Levi Colwell. Didn't help Chelsea, but helped me. Said I was going to move him for Munoz. Munoz got a clean sheet, and he played really well. So it's just been a very good game week for me. Everything has just clicked.
I was worried about that Munoz move though, because I was thinking if Chalobah did get recalled or he got bought, would Crystal Palace take a little bit of a hit? And Chalobah was recalled just before the game, and it didn't really impact them, did it?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, like I say, I think Munoz especially is quite an exceptional player, considering he's a very attacking-minded wingback. Fullback, yeah, that's the word. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. So we'll have to see how it unfolds. Because Chelsea's recalled Chalobah, does that mean we pursue Guehi? Does that mean he stays out the season at Palace? We don't know. We'll have to see what happens. If he stays at Palace, I think it doesn't really change much.
I think it just means one of our defenders are getting sold, and I would put my money on Disasi because he's the only one fit enough to be sold right now.
Disaster. Well, to be fair, he's literally the only one fit enough. Yeah. You, Mike, you made the right captain choice.
I did. I went with Isak because I thought that a lot of people were like, why Captain Isak? He's got a yellow injury caution on him.
That's why you need to read the news, guys.
But I knew that he was held back in the midweek game to be ready for this game. They are trying to look after him because they know how much they rely on him. So I knew he was going to be fit for this game. And it worked. I won't lie. I was waiting for the team news, and I was hoping for the best.
Of course.
But then we had like this 32 points with this yellow caution sign, and it was it paid off. The thing it didn't pay off was that I bought Raul in 5.7 was a bit of a dud.
Not a bad move though.
I still value the move because Fulham did score goals, but it wasn't through Raul because Iwobi had a game, Robinson had a game, but Raul Jimenez. I consider his name Jimenez. Just keep saying Raul to me.
Jimenez
Raul is from Raul is from Real Madrid back in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
This is Jimenez.
It's Jimenez,
so, Jimenez is still a good pick, but his fixture run that I thought was going to be good is now starting to fade because he's got Leicester away, but then he's got a tough United game and Newcastle now. So my 3-game run in front of me for Raul's not looking good, but at 5.7, he's still an option, but I am keeping my eye on Wood because if Wood looks like the better option, I think the trade there is Raul to Wood before Wood goes up even more.
Well, the thing is, right, you've got to also consider who Raul is being compared with, and it would be your João Pedros and Danny Welbeck's. For me, I have João Pedro still. I much rather would probably have Raul, but my budget doesn't really allow for it at the moment.
But if your budget did, would you get Wood instead?
Yes. I love me some Wood.
Listen to Wood's sitting at 6.9. I expect he'll be 7 million before the game week, probably. He's the most brought in player.
He'll be 7 million next season.
More than anybody else.
Yeah.
And his next 3 fixtures, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, Brighton at home. Those are 3 scoreable fixtures for a Forest team who are flying right now.
I mean, he scored against Liverpool. So, like I said to you at the beginning of the podcast, I'm holding Haaland for Ipswich, and then I might move him on for Chris Wood.
I think it'll be a baller move. One person you might also be considering, Nate, is Watkins. Now, the reason why I say this, he's 8.9 right now. So he'll give you that extra money to spend elsewhere if you're going to move Haaland to Watkins. But he's got 3 fixtures after this game week that you're going to be holding Haaland for. After the Arsenal game week this week, he's got West Ham United at home, Wolves away, and Ipswich at home. So I almost feel like the best move of... I know Wood is doing really well, but Watkins coming in for those 3 fixtures at 8.9 might be even a better pick.
Yeah.
Because we never know when Forest are going to, be brought back down to earth. But
You're not
know
wrong.
what you could expect from Aston Villa. You know they're going to be there and thereabout. They're going to be competing. They're going to be pushing hard. And Watkins seems to be hitting form right now. I would jump on the Watkins train because when he's in form, he normally goes a bit and then drops. So he's in form right now. So we'll see what he does for those 3 game weeks. But the big question, the most important question, the question probably everybody listens to this podcast for because I sometimes struggle with it. It's the last thing I need to do before my game week starts. Nate, who are we captaining? What's the captain choices looking like this week?
Cold Palmer.
You think so? Is he the number 1 pick?
I think for me, I know it's a bit of a rogue one considering, I mean, considering nothing. He's Cole Palmer. He's still scoring goals. He's still doing it for Chelsea.
Chelsea draw. He still scores.
He's still scoring. And it's a Wolves fixture, which I'm hoping we should win. We should win. I'm hoping we do win. It's at Stamford Bridge as well. You know how Palmer just loves the home crowd. I think if they rally behind him, I think he's probably the standout pick. You've got to say that, though, Isak would be the next contender, if not the other best contender, just based off his form. However, it concerns me that he might get rested for Europa League. That is my worry, or even the Cup, sorry. So does he play the full 90 minutes? I don't know. He got pulled off at 72 minutes against, or in their last fixture. I don't know if he lasts, maybe 60 minutes. If he does, can he score? Possibly. But I think Palmer's probably the safer pick out of the two of them in terms of consistent minutes and game time.
I'm not just copying you, but I am 100% with you there.
Yeah,
I think those are the two choices, and Palmer seems to just be edging Isak. I think Palmer's due a haul. He's been scoring consistency, but he's due a big haul. Wolves have a very poor defense. I'm not saying that Wolves can't draw the game or even win the game, but defensively they will concede.
I can also totally see a storyline where Pedro Neto gets a hat-trick against his former club.
Not a bad shout. Not a bad stories. I always love football and stories. But speaking of the biggest story of them all, are we both just off the Salah train?
For now, I think so. Our joint team isn't, and that's been suffering. So maybe we should move their captain around. Yeah, I think Salah needs to just score something to just get their form back, just to get that edge back. I think the defeat in the cup game really knocked them back a bit. So they're going to have to rebuild and claw some momentum forward again. And the draw against Forest probably didn't help either. So you could say, yes, he's due a haul. However, Brentford aren't the easiest team. They're not the easiest to break down either. So it's going to be another tough game.
Can I just say something? Liverpool lost to Nottingham Forest and now drew to Nottingham Forest, and Nottingham Forest were there in the top 3 positions. Like, that's a big up to Nottingham Forest. I don't even consider this result a bad result for Liverpool. Normally I would say, yes, of course, it's a horrible result for Liverpool. But in the context of the table, it's actually not a bad result because they took a point off their closest rival to the title right now.
Literally, yeah.
But what about the big man, the one on the Titanic? The ship's sinking. Man City's ship is sinking. Pep's, the captain's playing the violin and about to jump off the icebergs. Hit. It's all going downhill from now. But you're still holding on to Haaland for this Ipswich game.
I'm holding on to him like a lifeboat or a life buoy or a dinghy or a jacket or whatever. I'm trying to not go underwater.
From Titanic holding on to that door.
Except Pep's on the door and he's pushing me over and he says, there's no space for you. Take him out. But I refuse. I'll hold him. I'm going to hold him for him. Haaland's playing Ed Sheeran this weekend. So that's what I'm holding Haaland for. They're playing Ipswich. It's just a joke because Ed Sheeran sponsors the team, basically.
No, we can call it Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I would literally have his album cover as his front t-shirt. Yeah, it's fun. He's not a captain shout for me. He hasn't proven anything to be a captain shout. We were saying over WhatsApp early in the week that it's a good shout for me to have Haaland when he scores because a lot of people have moved off him. So it really gives me a differential. And it's a really good differential to have if you think about it. It's just not really paying off. So that's why I'll give him this week and then make a decision on.
I'll give you a bit of a confidence boost. You got 87 points?
89, yeah.
89 points with Haaland in your team, okay? Now, you could argue, okay, could you have moved Haaland on for more points? But having him there means you could have got 87 plus Haaland points, right? So, you could have helped you take you to that 100. So, I would say you're doing the right thing for now. The real question is going to be after the Ipswich game, whether you feel like there is a better option than Haaland up front. And if you are moving off Haaland, are you saying goodbye to all City assets, or do you reinvest that in the midfield? Because a lot of people moving to Savinho in the midfield. Anyone who had Foden would have got some points this week as well. So
I'm going to say something controversial. I don't even know if it's controversial, but I think Armand is better than Savinho.
I don't know if better is the right word, but he definitely, from an FPL point of view, is a more of an attack.
From an FPL point of view, yeah.
Like, I've seen Savinho do some amazing things as a footballer, but I've seen Ahmed actually give us the points we need.
Stop dribbling the ball and pretending that was a foul.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah,
He's a flair player. He's a flair player, and he links up the midfield pretty well. But that is not always the good idea for FPL. Sometimes what's good for the eye in football, like Rodgers.
yeah. I was
Sometimes
just about to say, look at Rodgers. He's a cracking football player, but he's just not getting the returns for FPL.
it's not really an FPL asset that I would rely on, and so Savinho is the same. But we'll see what the
I do want to say a shout out to someone that we both had in our team at the start of the season, and I think would probably be the best budget midfielder, and that's Oscar Bob.
You would have. I think that injury derailed City's season because of all the other injuries afterwards. Just that one,
it set them off.
Player staying fit would have been so good for him, so good for the team. It really has opened up the Premier League this season. So I'm enjoying the Premier League being a little open. You got Newcastle and Nottingham Forest at the top.
Yeah.
Arsenal still trying their best. It's Chelsea, they're about dropping down, and then you still got Liverpool doing their thing at the top. So it's all fun and games without Oscar Bob. But I think that's all the time we have for.
There we go.
We just ran out of time.
Yeah, that's been a long time since the referees blowed their whistle, but nevertheless, thank you guys so much for watching. Please, again, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, send it to some fellow... Actually, you don't have to. You can keep this all to yourself. Just subscribe to the channel and like the video. Don't share the wealth of knowledge that we have. But yeah, good luck for this game week. Deadline's on Saturday in the morning for UK. That's sometime in the middle of the night or early morning in Canada. So make sure you do your changes well in advance. May the odds be ever in your favor, or may the points be ever in your favor. Don't want to get trademarked, sorry, Hunger Games. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, cheers guys.